discuss how I navigate life consciously so we can reach higher heights and deeper dimensions of the mind, so we can accomplish our goals from a healed and open place together. So, let's get started. Face the fear that comes with being consistent. When our dreams require us to show up in new ways, it scares us. Not because our dreams are scary, but mostly for me because I wanted to do everything right. The uncertainty of this future that I wanted, that I could potentially be present in, but not be good at, was a bruise to my ego. And in order to keep myself safe, I would just freeze. To be honest, a lot of us sabotage things like a child. We have these things that we want and that are in our hands and in our power, and because it's new, and because we haven't really invested the time enough to understand its function or its systems or ways that it can be useful for us or ways that we can master it, the first sign of a mistake or misunderstanding, we throw it to the ground in frustration. And we drop things and we never pick them up again. When you have a mission to do something, some of the missions in pursuit to the things that you want will not be 100% successful, but it doesn't mean you are not worthy of having those things, which is why strategy is very important. What changed the way I showed up from maybe posting once every couple of months, expecting the same outcome that posting once a week brought me, I had to change my emotional entitlement to the work that I was too afraid to face. Yes, it takes more energy to do what I'm doing now than what I did before, but that is the sacrifice that I decided I wanted when I claimed that this thing was something that I also wanted to. I had to realize and I had to come in agreement with myself that I was worthy of that sacrifice. Enough to have an expectation of something great within myself to act on that greatness. 99.8% of the time, even though my emotions were not 99.8% all in. I think when you actually deem yourself worthy enough to have an expectation of something great within yourself, that's when consistency becomes less of an issue. And I also think about it like this. Our schools required a certain level of greatness from us. Our caregivers were held to a standard in order to keep us in that household. The jobs that we have require a level of skill and competence from us. You also deserve a piece of that too, because you want to change your outcome. Repeat after me. I preserve 100% of my excellence for me and my endeavors. I am worthy of my own 100%. And tap your chest and let it be done. Let's double back to the ego. Sometimes we have an ego so large it stands in the way of God doing a new thing in us, because the ego wants control. The ego likes staying at the job because it's not challenged by what's happening at the job. The ego likes knowing the outcome. So when you do nothing, it sleeps a little easier knowing that at least they know the outcome of what happens when nothing happens. And they have also no one else to blame but themselves. In this current stage of my life where I'm consistently posting things from the heart, I had to put my ego in the back room to fold clothes. It's doing something and it's keeping itself busy and it's working.
Thanks for watching, y'all.
Please
Subscribe.
makes the decisions for me and my higher self. The higher self is what the ego wishes it was. There's just too much dip on my ego's chip to actually require good qualities to lead me into my next destination. And you're aware that this is happening when you finally realize that even the results that you're getting, say you are consistent a numerous amount of times, the things that you thought were gratification for your journey are no longer there. When you see positive results from the work that you're doing, when the ego is present, you will rest and you will assume, like, okay, I got what I wanted, but there's something deeper when you're truly driven in purpose, that the one good thing that happens is not something that makes you feel comfortable or confident enough to rest. Create a normalcy around what you want to do and who you want to become. I obsessed over being a creator, and I still want to make this a full-time gig. So you want to know what I do? I do nothing but watch and listen to creators that do it full-time, and it's a normal thing for me to see that. I live in Austin, where a lot of people are in the industry of being creative and capitalizing off of their creativity. So I stopped viewing the things that I wanted as something above me, but something around me, and it changed the way that I approached what I wanted. If you spend all day listening to people who have mastered things you want to start, the starting doesn't seem so hard. I also had to realize how special this moment in my life was, where I'm almost 30, no children, no real responsibilities but myself, and because I had already lived 20 plus years a certain way, I'm just genuinely curious of what a new life where I'm genuinely paid for being authentic will bring me. And the curiosity is also what keeps me going. It keeps me consistent. Are you truly dissatisfied with where you are? Are you truly bored? Because when you're bored and you have the energy to do something different, nothing stands in your way of that. But to move forward, I'm still in the journey of trying to make things happen for me, but when it does work out, I will definitely let you know. And notice that I said when and not if, because I don't have room in my mind for doubt because I'm consistent. Sometimes thoughts of doubt come within the mind, but they don't stay there long because they don't feel welcome up there. There's just not enough room for them to exist if I'm constantly creating and I'm constantly doing things. There's things that I tweak, there's things and ways that I try to make things better, but I never stop myself from the doing. Visualize yourself at the end of each task being one step closer to achieving your goals. And notice how different the conversations you're having with yourself become. I had to realize that the enemy was in my procrastination. If I truly feel like what I'm doing is something that is going to help people, imagine what my life would be like, or imagine what so many other people would feel if I allowed the enemy within my mind to win over my actions enough where I never even start. I think because I decided I wanted to do something with a purpose and it was aligned with my soul's purpose, I had this military-like mindset of making sure that what I was doing was ultimately because I wanted to be in service for others. And if they never receive that service, I just feel like it's purposeless. I've also talked openly about the other endeavors that I've wanted to pursue. Sometimes when you stop yourself from being consistent, what you're doing is also stopping your future from happening, or stopping your dreams and other things that you want to do, all of the things that exist inside of your being. Although some of those things lay dormant because of your accessibility to do those things, whether financially, time, energy, the more that you prolong your consistent steps at just creating a foundation for yourself, whatever that is, the more you prolong your suffering of not allowing those parts of you to live out. I think I had to wake up to, the reality that my dream life, what I want for myself, is not going to be given to me. I have to work for everything in my life, and this is just one of those things that I have to work for, and it would be a disservice to my spirit, it would be a disservice to myself to know all of the talent that I have and I carry, know all of the passion that exists inside of me that I was given, and not fight for it enough to try to climb in any way that I can, not out of desperation, but truly because I feel like I am responsible for my gifts. And if I don't advocate for who I am, and if I don't speak life into my gifts enough to strategize, I'm just allowing other people to give me a life that society claims humans are supposed to have. It's not fulfilling. I got a glimpse of the life that other people created for me because I wasn't existing in my gifts, and I did not like it. So why would I continue, you know? And maybe because I just reached this level of consciousness where I stopped pretending like being an adult meant completely getting rid of my creativity. Like, there are some people that are mathematicians, there are some people that are scientists, you know, all of the things, right? And it's in them to be that, and they are people in society that are existing in their gifts. But when it comes to the arts, when it comes to people that are speakers and, you know, people that are writers and authors, very seldom do those people get the same type of power and recognition for actually having creative gifts, as opposed to like linear scientifical or mathematical, you know, callings. And I kind of want to change the stigma of that, because I can't be anyone else. And I also don't let people make me feel bad for not being that way. In a way, when someone is looking down upon you for being creative and having real creative gifts, like scary gifts, in a way they're kind of looking down at God for blessing you with all of these things. And it just it gives me a bad taste in my mouth. But that's what society was. Like, if you weren't doing something to contribute to society as a consumer, or by numbers or science or like all of those things, engineering, if you're not contributing in those ways, they look at you like you're completely lost. Not everyone is brave enough to have passion, but we do these things where we go to school, have jobs that we go to, and we lose all of that energy for ourselves. And consistency is a rebellion to the forces that be, that no matter what societal system they've created to make us a contributor to this messed up world, you still have gifts, you still have art, loves, and it would to yourself if you act on them vigilantly and with strategy. There's a stretching that happens within you. It just awakens you. You know what's so interesting? I'm not gonna lie. I took one single yoga class to describe how activating it was, but the breath, you know, breath of fire, I truly felt it was a gift to have the God in me. If you want anything, it is now our fully walk in our gifts, because something very special is happening in the air. I don't know what it is, but there's like this wind of change happening. I don't know. A few days ago, I had this like trembling anxiety. You know when something good is about to happen and you're just like walking about your day like, ooh, like that's what I feel is happening. There's so much energy happening in the world, and now's the time for you to get on get on it. Like, if you have to be on necks, if you have to get on people's necks and not let up, do that. Like, I remember years ago when I first started like being consistent on social media, I stopped doing it on Instagram because I did feel like I was attracting a lot of people that were surface level. I'm not even gonna lie. So I just started investing in YouTube. But now that I'm on Instagram kind of again, still delivering that same type of consistency, just with just a little up a notch, because I've finally laid a foundation of consistency. I know that people feel the difference of what I'm trying to do. People understand kind of my mission. And not only that, they look at the world, they look at their day to day, and they feel that who I am and what I try to do and what I try to share, it's needed. And it's just, when you reach that point of consistency and you're in a deep end, now you realize you can't stop. That's what I want for you. Because it's going to be bigger than the ways that you feel. It's going to be bigger than tiredness. When you truly feel like you're doing something that is of service and that needs to be done, needs to be said, no matter how hard it is for people to digest. There are people in this world that are in it but not of it, and what they are of is worthy of being shared, because it could potentially be the very thing that makes a person change this world. And if it is my responsibility to speak life into the people that are truly going to shift the world, I want to do my part. So if I can inspire you in any way, I hope that in this video, it is everything that you need to hear to get off of your ass and just do everything that you're afraid to. Not because it's actually scary, but because there's a different version required of you right now that is not only going to help maybe your life situation, but it might help the world and heal it and do something amazing. And I was talking to a friend today about just how desensitized we are with like seeing so many people talking, hearing their voices, seeing their faces, and like all of these things. We're so busy watching other people's magic that we forget that we have something magic inside of us as well.
That's all I asked you to do. Thank you, sir.
And
Research.
there's probably someone who is going to shift the way that we see the world, but they're sitting dormant and they know it, but it scares them. It scares them so much because they don't know the outcome. No one really wants to be a martyr, even though they have, the calling to, because we know how it always ends for them or us, but it's bigger than that. It's so much bigger. So I want you to see yourself, your life, your story, who you are, as something worthy of giving a shot at just being consistent, just to see where it goes. And when it goes as good as it's going to go, come back to me and tell me how right I am, because I'm a Virgo and I like to hear that I'm right. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment.
This is me now at 43, healed my 8 years of chronic back pain after having kids, became a contortionist, and
in order for us to fully reap the benefits of development, we have to exist in the darkness. So for anyone who feels like they're at a time of being swallowed by darkness in their life, being hidden in plain sight, or just being completely buried, I'm here to bring you a shift in perspective. Not to change the reality of your circumstances, because I'm no magician, right? But to allow you to see your place in the center of all of your circumstances with a fresh set of eyes and a new perspective, so that you have more clarity to move forward. Welcome to the Round Hat Podcast, where we get real and then some. I'm your host, Jasmine Siri, and every week I will speak on topics that align with reprogramming the subconscious mind. I share my experiences and discuss how I navigate life consciously so we can reach higher heights and deeper dimensions of the mind to reach our goals from a healed and open place together. So, let's get started. I want you to consider this dark place being a burial for your old beliefs. When I'm in dark spaces of my life, I have to remain realistic about this part of the life experience. That there will always be more times like this. And when we find ourselves in dark spaces, though some scenarios may feel new, with new levels of pain depending on what's in front of us at the time, but there's always just this small voice in the back of our minds that says, damn, I've been here before. I'm experiencing it again. I know this dark place, and we are familiar with how our bodies handle disappointment, discomfort, pain. And instead of doing the hard thing, which is moving it out of our bodies with different healing modalities, sometimes we judge ourselves for it instead, not because it was or was not our fault, but genuinely because we are the closest souls to blame for the things that go wrong. This is a part of the self-hate practice that our bodies and minds go to war with every time, so much to a point where we grow sick and we become depressed and dysregulate our own nervous system because we take life's happenings as a form of self-betrayal. And if we are not intentional about how we spend our time, we could get stuck there. Understand that there are scenarios that we can't save ourselves from, but we will always have the power and ability to nurture ourselves through. We love to think of what we should have done or how we could have moved, what we did or did not say, as if a more creative delivery is the key to unlock a portal that could bring us back to that place to make a different decision. So if you are in a position in your life that feels like you're being buried, be buried and accept that this is where you are. If I'm being honest, every eyesore of my past, every past scenario that leaves me trembling in embarrassment represents a version of myself that I needed to lay to rest. I would not have gotten to this realization had I not experienced the times that challenged me and shattered my ego, threatened the false identity I tried to build out of something that was not stable or sustainable. I thought having community or a large network made me valuable or in my power until I saw those people were full of shit and not reliable. I thought my family was all I needed until I saw they couldn't support me beyond their own traumas. I thought a career would save me until one lie from a jealous spirit tarnished my reputation in an industry I served almost a decade. I thought being chosen by a man would heal me, but all it has done is shown me the cracks in my self-esteem that keep me from choosing myself. And in this emptiness, in this dark space that feels alone, I'm somehow surrounded by a God that gives me love and grace and fills me completely. And I swallow it, and I'm buried, and then I'm reborn. We are seeds, and we need the darkness of the soil and the nutrients inside the manure and the rain and the sunshine and all of those things. I have this little inside joke with myself because my name's Jasmine and Jasmine is a flower. It feels like the more bullshit that life throws at me, and it really can lay it on thick, the more this happens, the more fragrant and radiant and beautiful I begin to blossom and my life just becomes. And I think humans are God's flowers, no matter what your beliefs, even if your beliefs are differing from mine, we have to come from someplace, right? So I want you to consider this the next time you feel like you're knee deep in the bullshit and it feels like it's towering over you. I want you to ask yourself, how will this bullshit nurture the soil of my character so that I can fully exist and be present in the future that I'm called to have? Another special thing about being consumed by darkness is that we have the luxury of doing our intentional work in private. No one has to know all of the hard things or ways we are changing cycles. We can disappear and pop back up completely different. One of the most beautiful things about my channel and podcast is that it's a hidden gem. It feels like a little secret society that's real and untainted. To some people, it's like I just popped out of the sky, and it was like I remember so many eras of myself that were lost that no one knew about. It's not that I cringe about it, it's just that directionless version of myself was always in everyone's face, was always going out, was always seen, was always, in the middle of something. And this version of me, it just seems really.
We use Upwork because it's an all-in-one solution. You can find, vet, hire, and pay people. Plus, you can pay.
Chill. It's just, this channel is so important to me is because all you have is me, spirit, and yourself. And I get to be that vehicle that allows you the space for you and the divine to have a real conversation. If I look back at all of my old journals, I realize that this is the job that I asked God to have. And the work we do here, to be honest, it may not be for everybody, but for who it's for, it's really transformative and it's comforting. And I take so much pride in being that for you. Being what I wish I had in my time of development and being the catalyst for a breakthrough. If this podcast and YouTube channel has helped you out in any way, please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. It helps me out so much. Thank you all so much for being a part of my journey, being a part of me, and really being my angels. This is a dream come true. Now let's get back to the episode. So take full advantage of the allure and come back completely new.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching. Please tap the screen to like and subscribe to my channel.
And in 2025, that is the year of 9. And in numerology, 9 represents the ending of a cycle, the fulfillment of one cycle, and the emergence of something new. Number 9 is considered a significant and powerful number that symbolizes completion and the start of a new phase. In this cycle, some people may experience transformation that can bring about a significant change and improvement in different areas of your life. It represents healing. Unhappy memories may arise so that we're able to make a change so that it can be healed. This era is all about tying up loose ends. This year can be a time of completing tasks, doing all of the things or starting all of the things that you said you always wanted to, and allowing it to take you on a journey. It says that the number 9 is also your heart's desire number or your soul urge number. It reveals your innermost passion and yearning, the unconscious emotional powerhouse that drives your decision making. It's the behaviors that you have that you're not even aware of that leads you to your destiny. So if you think deeply and philosophically and want to know the underlining themes of your life, and you take pride in your reflections, and you align yourself with your purpose as much as you can, this is a very interesting year for you in 2025. This is where your soul urge comes down to really making a change and being in a purpose that not only makes your dreams come true, but it could potentially serve others, like guiding and healing and teaching and protecting, supporting other people. If those things make you happiest and you feel like you're at the edge of jumping off into this destiny, 2025 is the year that you do it and you don't look back. If you are naturally drawn towards spirituality, or you seek a higher level of consciousness and you like to make sense of the chaos of this world, if you're compassionate, if you have a giving nature, if you have a spiritual outlook on life, this may be the year, 2025, that it all comes together. And this is what I felt for myself. This is what it says online. And I'm super excited about it. I feel like 2025 is going to be just an amazing year for a lot of people that are in alignment with the things that kind of are on the edge of spirituality, holistic, nurturing, wellness, all of the things. I want you to allow all of the moments in your memory card that had you feeling moments of doubt, scenarios that have humbled you and have shifted your character, sit with them and make peace with the fact that this way of being will be left in the soil. This is a time for you to make amends with the layers that you've stripped for this more polished version of yourself. And when we do that, we're better able to service others, to show that we don't have to be perfect to take a step forward, but to be polished means to use the substance of all of the shitty things in our past as a buffer for a more confident, clear, and grounded version of you. And I think that's all you need in the next year. Be grounded. Have a vision, have clarity, know what your intentions are in the beginning of the year, and see where it takes you. Because in a world where controversy and drama and all of these humbling experiences are put on display for other people's enjoyment as a way of escaping their own bullshit, when we choose to walk in our life as a representation of all of the old cycles that we've left behind, we do it as a way to lead in this shift of consciousness. I believe that the future will call for more leaders that are in authenticity and in truth. So I suggest remaining open to your dark truth, because honestly, everyone has one. And be fully open to the fact that, yeah, this X, Y, and Z was my past, but this is my future. This is my why. And no matter what, because I've spent my own time in the dark developing room of my life to deal with the cards and the decisions that didn't result in my highest good, I've learned from my own experiences, and because of the discernment and knowledge gained, I walk in my life like I've gained from the darkness. And when you do that, you show others that they can gain from their darkness too. Have patience. It's easier said than done, especially in the middle of this dark place. And photographers know this as well, that in order to allow light-sensitive materials to process, they have to develop in the dark and in the right amount of time. And I believe God knows that about us as well. Sometimes we never know how our stories will develop to be of service to the people we're meant to help until it has. So understand that our dark rooms of our life are designed for our best outcome. And that's the beauty of not knowing and surrendering. Sometimes we force this urge to be seen so much that we reach the surface before it's our time truly to be in the sun. And when this happens, it also shows an underdeveloped version of us, or a flaw in our character, that if we truly sat down long enough and accepted being buried, we would have learned from that experience.
You and I were both lied to since childhood. We were told, since we were her age, that we had to save up cash to get started into real estate.
Without the consequence of damaging other people in the process, or without giving ammo to our opposing forces. I guess when a person is developing their own character in their own darkness, they do it so that they're equipped with a foundation strong enough to see past other people's darkness. So when it's time to handle those said people, we can handle them in a way that thrusts them towards their awareness instead of punishing them, so that they can move on as well. And I think that's the gift of being aware. That's the gift of really truly understanding and having grace for ourselves just as much as we have for other people. But when there are parts within ourselves that we choose to rush through or brush past just to get this outcome, we just end up growing through someone else's experiences of the same thing that troubles us. So you see, we never escape the work. So choose wisely. Your darkness now or someone else's later, either way, you're going to persevere, right? Why risk the possibility of losing everything you've built for the foresight that you can gain in the here and now to better be of service for whoever is in your community and around you that needs you? I say all of this to say, the dark place is not a bad thing. We were formed in darkness. We were created and developed in darkness. I feel like God sometimes exists in the dark spaces. It's not always light and fluffy. Even when I close my eyes and I have these creative ideas, it exists in the nothingness, in this pit of black, that I'm able to be everything and anything that I want to be. When I started to see my darkness as just a playground for all versions of myself to exist, a playground for me to live out different outcomes and give myself an opportunity to forgive myself, or give myself an opportunity to be angry and act on how I feel when there is no place around me to do that. I see the darkness as a tool, and I want you to see it as that too. You will have your time in the sun. There's going to be a time where you won't be able to do half of the things that you're able to do now, because your life is going to expand in such a way that there just will be no time to, and it'll be a blessing. But you're going to miss that dark time, this special moment that you have with yourself where you're able to fully get to know you 100%. Why would you waste that opportunity on entertaining yourself with a relationship, or entertaining yourself with drugs or video games, or just scrolling? All of these things that in a couple of years, you don't know how long it'll be here. I had to think about that because I love to doom scroll. Like, that's my addiction. And I had to stop and realize who I was. I'm like, wait a minute. I have so much inside of my mind that I need to get out. I continue to doom scroll because the weight of everything in my mind is so overwhelming. There's so many things that I want to do that I feel like I can't touch. And so to escape my mind, I decide to scroll. And the things that are existing in my mind that I have to get out into the world, it's never going to go away. So I either pretend to be haunted by it and try to escape from it, or I use it to bring it into the future to be the change that this world needs to see. Food for thought. I think that is all that I have. I have yapped enough. I think that is all that I have for today. Thank you so much for making it to this far into the video. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And follow me on Instagram at jasmine.siri.
Have you taken Suboxone film and experienced dental issues like cavities, tooth loss, tooth fractures, or decay?
Most times, what changes the trajectory of our lives is not entirely the events that have happened. It's our emotional response to the things that have happened. I've always been an extremely passionate person. I feel things deeply. I have a very expressive personality style. And when you are someone that is high-spirited, it is hard for you to control this spark, this energy within us that we often exude without control. If you are someone that is emotionally expressive, like me, if you cannot hide the look on your face when you are emotionally affected by something, this also means you. When we're in the feelings of joy and bliss, everybody is happy around us. We have the ability to light up the entire room. But when we are feeling opposite of that, when we are feeling not our best, unfortunately, other people have the ability to feel that as well. And even when we are silent, we affect most people. At first, it's annoying and it feels unfair. Because when you are someone that stands out, it often feels like you're under surveillance. People are looking at you and looking to you for your reactions to things, or lack thereof. Some people are looking for ways to feel inspired, while others may be looking for things to inflict judgment upon, like a lot of people do, especially on the internet. And in this act of trying to protect ourselves from this judgment, or just being perceived, we put this pressure on ourselves, and it gets to feel like we're not able to be human like everyone else is. I want this video to be a lesson to all of the people that feel like they are chosen, anyone that feels like they have an anointing on their life, that the gift of our life also comes with a burden of restraint and the level of control that we have to have and we have to develop in order to pursue our purpose, the experiences in our lives and the cards that we were dealt. We know if someone else had the ability to play our hand, they would not know what to do with it. And this requires us to show up in ways that are challenging, but it is also to make us better. This teaches us how to lead with integrity and build emotional stamina. And being in control of this gift of light, this gift of passion, is what really shifts the trajectory of our life for the better. When we are no longer a slave to our emotions and constantly receiving the consequences of our lack of control, we are unstoppable. I had to accept that when much is requested, much is required. In this video, I will be talking about the layers of being emotionally reactive and how it affects us. Also, how we can alchemize this characteristic into a superpower and use it as a boost to our manifestation power. Welcome to the Rana Hat Podcast, where we get real and then some. I am your host, Jasmine Siri, and every week I will speak on different topics that align with reprogramming the subconscious mind. I share my experiences and discuss how I navigate life consciously so we can reach higher heights and deeper dimensions of the mind, so we can accomplish our goals from a healed and open place together. So, let's get started. Build situational flexibility to develop emotional stamina. So in the situations that happen in our life, we will bend, but we won't break. I think it's important for us to get back to a sense of flexibility and openness to different outcomes. For a very long time, I existed with a strong sense of internal justice. Right was right, wrong was wrong in my mind. And in my efforts to be a good example, I forgot the unpredictability that being a human comes with. A lot of life had to happen to me. I had to make a lot of mistakes, and a lot of world views had to change within the mind to get me to this point. And now that I'm almost 30, with a lot of tools of experience under my belt, and still with room for more, I realize that a lot of events that have happened in my life would not have affected me so greatly if I had already developed the flexibility to not see things in such extremes. When we define the characters in our story as good or bad, or we mark the events in our lives as good or bad, and not just simply services that help us gain mental and emotional stamina, it validates a version of ourselves that keeps us in the comfortability of victimhood. And it makes us feel exempt for the work and the lessons that we need to learn in the in-between. Reacting emotionally is saying, because I'm still surprised by the lack of control I have over you, my loved ones, my friends, over the situation, the only thing that I can do is let everyone in the world know just how much it's affecting me. And when we're young and naive, we think it's doing something to everyone else, and all it's doing is affecting us, changing our relationships. Because although we didn't entirely mean what we said when we were mad, that was their last straw. And because of the work that they're doing on themselves, they can't see you the same without betraying themselves. They can't enter a new relationship or a different relationship with you without it being something that they really have to work on. And now that everybody's nervous system is dysregulated, now that our cortisol levels are super low, we have the audacity to claim that another person is supposed to come in and love us back into regulation. And we think someone is just going to pour so much into us that it's going to make us forget all of the messed up things we just did to everyone else because we did not know how to control our emotions. And what we want is to be poured into, but what we really need is an intervention. And the people closest to you are too close for you to hear them. So I was sent here to be that person to break the ice between you and the divine. Because when we are disappointed and we're angry and we lash out in the moments and we hurt other people, when we actually have an opportunity to sit with God, we go completely silent. We don't talk about that. And I feel like God just sits and waits for us. And after a while, it's like, okay, you're not ready yet. I'll just come back when you're ready to get real with yourself. Because if you want me to work in your life, you have to be able to work with me in your heart. And in order to really get to the good stuff, we have to keep it real with ourselves and have to realize that we have the ability to hurt people. Maybe we didn't handle that situation 100% to the best of our abilities, but there's room to learn. You know, I just don't think that we get to blame everybody else for everything that happens to us, create these emotional reactions, and assume that no one else is going to be affected by that too. It just doesn't work like that. I'll give you a testimony of my own. I remember a couple of weeks back, I was heartbroken by something my mother did. And there's still parts of me that are very, very, not all the way well with it. But, I'm trying to move forward. I accept my mom as a human being. There's still love, of course. But there was a situation that happened where I was speaking with my family, and it just became so overwhelming that I just completely did no contact, but for real. But the difference between me doing no contact and maybe someone else is that when I am not talking to someone, I will hold on to that for years. And it's not something that I'm proud about. I don't know why. When I don't see you, I just don't care about you anymore. There's something in my heart that I'm trying to heal. But I kept thinking about all of the ways I was justified in doing the things that I did, of completely cutting them out of my life, cutting them out of my experience. And I was taking a shower. And I could just feel the heart of my mom, and I know her for who she is, and just kind of her doing the best that she can, but still being human and being a mom and just going through the emotions of having children or having a daughter that is really hurt by you. As an adult, it's not like you can say, hey, let's go get something to eat and open the door and say you hungry. Sometimes when things happen on deeper levels, when there's different levels of betrayal that happen in our adult lives, because they're fresh and we're still trying to, carry our lives together, when things happen to us, we don't handle them the right way. And I think it was an opportunity for me to really get myself together in a way that I knew God was you're wrong, it was how dare you. It was I felt it so seriously, and I just started, of course, crying, because that's what I do. I'm a crybaby. And immediately I was I know that there will be a consequence if I do not repent and apologize. I know, as much as my pride and my ego wants this punishment of me not speaking to them ever again to really deliver, have its, effects, but really, what is that doing? That's not doing anything but hurting me. So I, outside of whatever I think someone needs to apologize to me, because God requires me to show up in a certain way because of who I am, who I call myself to be, the service that I want to give to others. I have to do something I really don't want to do, which is call the person that broke my heart and tell them that I'm sorry. And I did. And my mother was the same person that she was when I wasn't talking to her. She is going to be who she is, and I love her so much. But I was sorry, and it was my job, and it was my due diligence to apologize. Now, that was just one scenario. There's so many scenarios where if we are not quiet enough to listen, we are going to mess up and damage something very good. There are certain bridges that will leave you stranded if you decide to burn them. And because I understood the weight of how I felt, but how maybe childish in spirit it was for me to assume I could do something as definite as never speak to my mother ever again. It didn't make any sense, and I felt like I had to share that because that's real, and I might regret sharing that. But if there is someone that is maybe going through something similar, I hope I get them over the hump, because after you make that call, after you decide to do the thing, you do it for yourself, not for anyone else, not for any reward or pat on the back, and you realize that even the person I apologized to didn't realize how much this meant for me to do. You know, you don't realize how much it took me to pick up my phone and call and apologize. You don't know what God is doing with my pride. And we do these things because of our obedience, and I will say, I felt so much lighter. That was like an awakening that happened. Just something very small. And I think it's kind of like this funny thing about it. It's like we want the universe, we want the divine to do all of these grandiose things in our lives and break every barrier in our lives. And it's like we are the barriers in our lives that he's trying to break. He can't even reach us. And I remember one of my friends, I was talking to her, and she was basically saying, like, God can't come down any further to us. We have to come up to meet him. And that was what it was. Like, once I apologized, and it was just like a little chuckle, a little laugh. I smiled when I got off the phone. It was what it was, I felt so much lighter. I felt like I was floating. I felt like I was in a different dimension. My skin just felt just clean. My chest felt light. Just for those few moments, I was able to breathe better, and that was something that I needed to do. And I hope that serves you, because it really did something. It really changed something for me. But do you see how, if I didn't make that step, how emotionally manipulative our reactions could easily become? Do you see how staying in victimhood so long ultimately makes you the villain in someone else's story? Do you see how it has made you maybe the villain in your own story? Because, yes, things happen. We show up as human. We realize that there's a better way that we could have handled things, but we have to admit that we could have done better, because that was actually a learning opportunity that I could have easily missed had I stayed in my pride. Who knows what type of blessings I would have blocked by still keeping that in my heart. And in these things that happen, in the mistakes, they're going to keep happening, right? We're human, we make mistakes. But that's why I think humility is so powerful. It's only until you see yourself as, the clear villain in someone else's story that you see that we truly are the same. We're not victims. We have the ability to love and hurt people just as much. And that's when, I finally got it and I understood, in order for me to change my emotional reactions, I actually had to have the humility enough to love others and react and respond in a way that was through love, not through judgment or disappointment, because we are all the same. We're all constantly either seeking something, longing for something, whether it be love, attention, understanding, resources. I had to stop seeing my life in black or white, good or bad, because it is obviously so.
Here's a great way to level up your investment game. With high yield cash from Robinhood Gold, you can earn 9 times the national average. You can also get a 3%.
More. Were your parents or caregivers emotionally reactive? Sometimes, most of our parents are being raised while raising us. And I had an extremely reactive parent. Not to make this an excuse, because I am responsible for how I choose to show up in the world. But it did take some unlearning, and until you realize it, you're not going to be able to do the work until you're intentional about like seeing in ways it shows up. If I could vividly remember the ways that I felt when I was younger, and the person responsible for me had no idea how to raise or teach me to make true impact on my behavior outside of an emotional triggering, I would turn myself around to make sure I'm not doing it to someone else. And it takes a lot. And if we're really getting deep, I feel like there's a part of it that stems from slavery, and it makes me deeply enraged because I should be compensated for all of the work that I'm having to do. I feel like this is just, just putting it out there. But anyway, I've had parents who were also in the military, so the breaking, the rearing of the child is just a little different, and I'm probably a little bit more tough because of it. I'm able to process things, and I have a lot more of a strategical mindset, so I'm happy about it, but it was an experience nonetheless. And if you were a military child, and if one or both of your parents were in the military, put like a little flag in a comment box below, because you're gonna understand, you're gonna feel what I'm talking about, But anyway, I just recently, I got a glimpse of my grandmother's emotional response to things, and how even her best is not an effective way that I can genuinely say looks like love, and I realized that it was a bigger picture, and it is a responsibility that I have to speak on it, not because speaking on it will change them or change the way that they view it, but by my acknowledging of a system that no longer works, it gives me more room for healing. It gives me an opportunity to do the work within myself so that I can just have a better future for whatever children I may bring into the world, I feel like it's worthy enough for me to invest into it now. Regardless if I have children or not, I'm doing the work so that I can be of service to someone somehow. Anytime I've looked also at a male partner who was emotionally reactive, I knew he was raised by a mother that was emotionally manipulative and reactive by nature, and I can't even blame them because I was also going through the same thing, but they have to be aware enough to also want to do the work. I have nothing for them if we both can't see it enough to want to try to change and be better. But yeah, I think overall, with all of the things that I've seen, all of the things that I've become aware to, I've had to realize the situation for what it was and detach by letting it go. Doesn't it suck? Sometimes it feels good to hold on to the things that people did to us because it gives us an excuse to maybe use their actions as a form of punishment to make us feel powerful, make us feel like we have the upper hand, but it really doesn't serve anyone. I've been watching and listening to videos about the let them theory, and it's basically, when you see things happening outside of your control, we have to let them happen. When the person we love does the thing that is undesirable to us, we have to let them, because the frustration of not letting the people we love be who they are does more damage to us than the situation actually deserves. Emotional reactivity stems from a level of entitlement. And if we aren't mindful, we're just walking around being little Karens. And I know you don't want to be that. When you constantly complain about the problem, you express so much energy through worry that you're almost giving power to the problems. I know someone that complained so much about being an adult, I literally had to stop talking to them. Because, like, okay, you got your car note, you got your bills, you got your things that you've had for years now. And I get it, I have all the same things too. But God forbid anything really devastating happen in your life, because if you can't handle the everyday responsibilities that come with just being an adult, how else are you going to be able to handle anything else? Like, I don't necessarily identify or subscribe to situations where people are constantly, complaining about the same thing, not really doing anything about it, but because they just need to complain, they like to do it to like build community. Like, it just doesn't feel good to me. I don't like being in that vibration. Like, at some point, we just gotta like let it go. And you know what? I experience this on an extreme level. It's like we invest so many emotions on the things that happen, and that is a waste of energy. And we could be putting that towards something that could actually help and benefit us in the long run. For example, when actors get auditions, or when you're young and you get auditions, right? You think every audition that you get is going to be the thing that's going to change your life, and you experience so many highs because we do a lot of investing into that time. We get the audition, we were chosen to get this audition because of, our type, where we are, all the things. We start diving into the dialogue, we create an objective, we get a reader, we set up, we do all of this creativity. If for this little moment we put so much energy and passion into telling this little snippet of the story, and it's like we send it off, and it's like we feel like the jitters of what could potentially happen if, we were chosen. It's like we invest all of this energy, and it's wasteful. If we actually, I saw this TikTok where this guy was speaking about, like, if we put and invest so much energy into that, all we're going to do is attract more situations where we're investing all of our energy on that. But if we view it as like, okay, yeah, that's just one audition, I'll have thousands more auditions to do. Hopefully I get more opportunities to have more auditions. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, great. It just wasn't meant for me. I think like that is the perfect like gear shift to change. It was amazing. It was awesome for me. Like, I was able to have more fun in my auditions and in my delivery. I was having fun with my self tapes because like it was fun for me. I was just like, I'm just gonna show them something. I'm just gonna fuck them up with this. They ain't seen this. It felt like that, and the more I started doing things like that, I would get good feedback about my audition. And even if I didn't get the job, there was a situation where I auditioned for something. Anyway, it doesn't matter what I auditioned for. The character that I was auditioning for, when they sent it to me, I knew it was for someone older. But I still read it anyway, because it was something fun for me to do. Honestly, I really wanted to kind of like explore. I was having fun, and I think when you are auditioning so many times, it is good to kind of stretch yourself in that way. So I did it, and there was a part of me that knew I wasn't gonna get it, but I had fun while doing it. And so when the audition was over, after like a couple of weeks, I just kind of let it go, and they emailed me, and they just wanted to speak with me. They just wanted to like get on a Zoom call with me because they really liked experiencing my audition. They were so sucked in, and I'm like, damn, like, thank you. And they were like, we don't have anything for you, but we were just so, you know, pleased by your audition. We really wanted to tell you to your face that you did an amazing job. You're just so young looking. And I'm like, I know. But anyway, it's like we waste so much time and energy on the things that really do not matter. If we waste so much time on the disappointment every single time things don't necessarily go our way and we do all of these great, grand, expressive things, I wonder if you ever stop and think, like, how could this energy push me forward if I just, instead of doing this, I did that, you know? I'm someone that loves to, like, be the underdog. I've been an underdog pretty much my entire life. And what I love about being the underdog is that, yes, you are underestimated, but because you're the only person that knows your power, you're the only person that can see your talent. When you actually rise, when you actually reach the surface, people are so shocked. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of grinding and teaching yourself new things and gathering so much information so that when you actually reach the surface, you're so undeniable that you surpass every person that has ever doubted you. But anyway, having passion and enough energy to express is powerful. We just have to use that power and alchemize the energy to bring our manifestations closer to us by the work and the steps that we take to develop discipline. You know, like I said, I'm an underdog. I've been an underdog my entire life. And all that did was make me a monster at perseverance. I had to do so much proving people wrong that when I actually got to the journey of not having to prove anything to anyone, I could just coast in the work. I could have the endurance, the things that I work for. I wanted more than wanting other people to see me have it. And I developed a strong inner belief in myself. I developed a stronger power of perseverance. I became immovable, and it helped me push the needle to my manifestations. I think that is all that I have for today. I just want to say thank you all so much for getting this far. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you found me, I'd love to know in the comments what video you found me from, how it made you feel. Thank you for just giving me all of your feedback and letting me know how much my videos have poured into you and are a part of your journey. Do not forget to follow me on Instagram at jasmine.siri. Send me an email if you want to talk a little bit deeper. I'm also on Spotify at The Ron.
Get the QuickBooks mobile app. Simply snap photos of receipts, tap, and sort transactions automatically. Categorize.
Ask you a question. I want you to put it in the comments. I want you to talk about it. Put it in your notes as a reminder. I want to ask you a very simple question, but one that I think is very effective. Have you ever lost something? Have you ever lost something? I'm not trying to be funny. Losing stuff, whether it's important or unimportant, can be one of the most frustrating things in your life. I'm going to list a couple of things I've lost recently, and I'm going to see if it'll bless you. Have you ever lost your keys? And it's like you lose them every time you're running late, don't you? Then you get mad. I always set my keys right here. Who touched my keys? You live by yourself. Who touched my keys? Oh my God, have you ever lost your phone? Then you ping in your phone and you hear it. Is it in this room? Is it in this room? Is it in the couch? Is it not in the couch? Uh-oh. Have you ever lost a remote? Oh my God, I watched Law and Order 6 times one day because I couldn't find a remote. Losing stuff can be so frustrating. The question I want to ask is not have you lost your keys, not have you lost your phone, not have you lost your remote. But the real question I want to ask you is have you ever lost yourself? Yeah, it's one thing to lose things, but it's a sad thing to lose you. Please put this in your notes today. Losing things is about finding where something is. Losing you is about remembering who you are. Losing things is about finding where something is. Losing you is about remembering who you are. See, when you lose stuff, you try to locate it. When you lose you, you need to remember. Remember, please put that in your notes. Remember, from the original language on the text, when the thief is on the cross, he says, when you come into your kingdom, remember me. That is not a 21st century statement. When we say remember, we're talking about think about me. Re, which means to do over. Members, which are parts of your body. Your arms, your legs are members. So when I say remember, what I'm saying is in order to find yourself, you have to start by putting yourself back together. Question ain't, how did you lose you? Sometimes the question is, who took that part of you? I'm preaching already if you receive that. Because the truth of the matter is, some of us are shouting and bragging that we are survivors. But can I preach and summarize some of your testimonies? Yes, I'm a survivor, but I don't know all the time that every part of me survived. Just because you survived don't mean all of you survived. Michael, just because you survived don't mean all of you survived. Pastor Mike, that relationship could have broke me. I made it out. You made it out, but your peace didn't. You made it out of that bad job, but your dream didn't. See, every time you go through, yes, you come out. But when is the last time you stopped to take inventory on what all stayed? Oh, y'all got to say amen to me today. I'm only preaching to 3 of y'all who refuse to sit back and take inventory of your life. Your attitude ain't been the same since that past relationship. Your patience ain't been the same since that last trial. See, I thank God. See, we make church so cute, don't we? We have testimony service. We almost make catching hell seem fun, don't we? Yeah, God took me through, but I made it out. No. There are seasons of my life where, yes, I survived, but parts of me didn't. Watch this. And the parts of me that didn't, I didn't know it till I reached for it and it was missing. Y'all don't hear what I just said right there. Yet just when I got ready to get my faith, the last failure took it. Please write this in your notes. The greatest enemy to your identity is not the enemy, but idolatry. Michael. Yeah, this is as loud as I'm going to get today, church. The greatest enemy to your identity is not the enemy. It's idolatry. Make that make sense. Put this in your notes. Idolatry is the worship or excessive devotion to a person, place, or thing that is not God. That's heavy. Idolatry is the worship or excessive devotion to a person, place, or thing that is not God. Let me break it down. In other words, idolatry is when we change the source of our satisfaction. My son want to be a ball player so bad. They some dogs. I love them. And they got all these lofty goals. And I'm going to give them all they need to succeed, you know. That's what I'm going to do. If they want trainers, I'm going to give them trainers. If they need me to go outside and throw the ball with them, I'm going to throw the ball with them. I'm going to come to every practice I can. Just stand out outside the gate and look and cheer them on. Hear me when I say this. But when I see that their excessive devotion to being a baller has taken priority over their devotion to be a child of God, they have just made ball an idol. So now how do I know it's an idol? Because it becomes the source of my satisfaction. Which is why when you don't get it, you feel down. Some of y'all depressed about stuff you should have never been impressed with. Michael! Some of us are depressed by stuff and people we should have never been impressed with. Why are they the source of your satisfaction when they are also the source of your frustration? You can't frustrate me and satisfy me at the same time. And whenever you put something, please put this in your notes. I've said it once a year for the last 13 years, and this is my first time saying it this year. God does not want exclusivity. He wants priority. God wants you to be a baller. Brad, I done seen you run that rock. He wants you to be a baller. If that's what you want to be, God loves you enough that he gave you that gift. When you run the ball, you run it with a gift God gave you. When you throw the ball, you throwing the ball with a gift God gave you. When you sing, when you write your book, when you do all this stuff that God, you're doing it with a gift God gave you. God does not mind you having stuff. He does mind stuff having you. Am I preaching to anybody? So what am I trying to get you to realize? Idolatry is when we change the source of our satisfaction. The world is not what it should be because believers are not who they should be. That's rich, ain't it? That's rich, ain't it? That's rich, ain't it? They told me, they came and got me in the back. They said, Pastor Mike, both of the overflows downstairs jam-packed. Ain't no telling how many people are online. This is crazy. I said, awesome. But I really want you to catch this. But the Pastor Mike you get when it's 3 people sitting here versus when it's 3 overflows of people sitting here don't change. I don't go home and be like, man, we didn't have 1,000 people in church. Some of y'all remember that the services that were the most emptiest were the most powerful. See, because attendance is not the source of my satisfaction. If I go to my account right now and it's negative, I'm going to be mad. Oh, you thought I was going to say I was going to thank God? No, I'm not that saved. I'm going to let you be that. Who else? You going to praise God for an empty account? No, the devil is a lie. I'm going to be mad. Apple had to take that app out today. But I will bless the Lord at all times. See, I'm going to be mad because I'm human. I am not going to allow that to break me because it's not the source of my satisfaction. Watch this. Satisfaction, satisfactory, satisfied. Satisfaction, satisfactory, satisfied. Whatever becomes, listen to this one word, the source of your satisfaction. Other stuff is going to bring you satisfaction. It just can't be the source. See, because if my car brings me, if my car is the source of my satisfaction, when the car breaks down, that means I can't be happy about nothing else because the source is gone. But if God is the source of my satisfaction, when all this stuff breaks down, put scripture on it, this joy. I'm gonna preach to another church. You caught me up there, girl. This joy that I have, bro, the world didn't give it. And the world, Michael, can't take it away. This is why your co-workers and your cousins don't know what to do with you. Because they know what you're going through. And they also know the stuff you've lost. Yet when they see you, no face, your face don't look like what you're going through. Because that wasn't the source of my satisfaction. That's for 3 of y'all who going through something right now. But you woke up this morning, wiped the crust out your eye, got the stank out your breath, put your hair on, put your clothes on. Matter of fact, you ain't feel like getting dressed. Your shirt wrinkled right now. But you said, I'm going to go to church because you are the source of my strength, the strength of my life. I live my. What's your source? Okay, what's your source? So if this is your first time, I try my best to preach to everybody in the room, okay? So if I don't close this $1 million deal, am I depressed? Or can I thank God that he brought me that close to it? If we start fussing a lot, am I now depressed? Or can I say, God, I know this is just a momentary season. Hear me? If I don't start this week, and I got to stand on the sideline and watch somebody else score a touchdown that I feel should have been mine, do I now become a hater and speak negative? Or can I say, God, I'm thankful I'm on a team that's winning? See, when stuff becomes your source, that source becomes your idol. And whatever you put in God's position becomes God's opposition.